we go. Let's pop that onto there. What is a cylinder head for? Well, let's first of all imagine where it is in the engine. You've got your block here, which of course you've got your bores and your pistons whizzing up and down. Here, you've got your inlet manifold and your exhaust manifold. There, you've got a rocker and a rocker cover. So essentially, this is just a big lump of metal with valves in. Now, the valves control the fuel air mixture going in through the inlet valve there, and of course, you've got the exhaust gases going out through the exhaust valve. These valves, or the motion of that, is controlled essentially by the camshaft, but when the valves are shut, they're held shut by these springs. And when they're held shut, they should be completely airtight. Now, what happens when you've got a leaded engine like this running on unleaded fuel is basically these soft valve seats, which are really just bits of metal, they get worn away, they get beaten up by the valves going backwards and forwards, and eventually what happens is you get to get with an air gap, and of course that means you lose compression. Now, there's a really simple test I can do to find out which one of these are damaged. So this is the test. Basically, if these valves are airtight, they'll also be petrol tight. So what I'm going to do is put some petrol into each of these wells, leave it for a few minutes, and then when I come back, if that fuel level has gone down, we've found our problem. Well, it didn't even take a few minutes for that fuel to leak through those damaged valve seats. So there's our problem.
That's why our engine's running rough. Reworking the valve seats means sending them off to a specialist engineering company who've got all the right tooling. This is a bit of a blow, because we won't know the exact cost until they've completed the repair. Fingers crossed this can be fixed cheaply.
This Brightwork was designed as the finishing touch on what really is a fantastic little sports car. Unfortunately, it's seen much better days, and I can't just polish out this corrosion. I need something a bit more drastic. But to buy a new front or rear bumper is going to cost us at least £200 for each end, and we just can't afford that. There is, however, a way out of this. What we can do is get it repaired and re-chromed, and that should only cost us about half of that amount, which is fantastic. We're just going to pop out these lights here. We can't send them to the chromers.
Before I can get to the front bumper, I need to remove the front grille, the number plate and overriders. Here's a tip: use a prop or get someone to hold the bonnet at half tilt. This will make it a lot easier to get at those hard to reach bolts.
I've just had a thought. Mustn't forget the fuel cap.
Rechroming the filler cap at the same time as the bumpers makes sense, but before I can get it off, I have to remove the roof to give me room to knock out the retaining pin.
Hey, there we go. Well, there we go. We've got two bumpers and a filler cap ready to be re-chromed, and this way it's going to save us a few quid, and the car is going to look fantastic when it's finished.
Ed, whoa, what have you done to the engine? I dropped it off. I said to you, had a misfire on the engine head. It's plugs, it's points, it's the HT lead. What have you done?
As it turns out, the ignition system is fine, but I had to do a little bit of rooting around to find out what the real problem was. Turns out the valve seats were damaged because it'd been run on unleaded fuel, and I had to send that off to an engineering company, and they're now going to put hardened valve seats in, which means that our engine will now work, but also it will run on unleaded
fuel,
yeah.
Which would be much more sellable.
Exactly.
Where's the bumpers on the car?
Well, that's why we're going to save some money. Basically, I couldn't polish out the corrosion on the bumpers, it was just too far gone, but rather than buying new ones at 200 quid for each end, I'm going to save us probably half that money by getting them re-chromed. I think we're getting in the right direction.
We're getting in the right direction. Understatement of the year, Edward. Look at the state of the car. I think we've got quite a bit of work to do before we can turn this puppy round. From our £5,000 budget, we've still got £2,600 left in the kitty. But the engine problem could see a big chunk of it disappearing, and there's still that whining differential and Brightwork to get sorted. But I can already see the green shoots of recovery with this car, so let's just hope there's a big profit in it for us. Now remember, when I bought this car, it was the depths of winter, and I hope to sell it on for a fat profit when there's some spring in the air. That's if Ed can ever get the old girl finished. Join us next time on Wheeler Dealers to see if we can do it.